everybody, and welcome back to the Extreme Hangout here in Glasgow at COP26. It is Youth Day. We hardly need reminding. There are plenty of fabulous young people who have taken to the streets today, and we've had even more in here contributing to wonderful, engaging, and intelligent and dynamic conversation. And that conversation, I'm totally delighted to tell you, is going to continue here right now, not just with three fabulous young scouts who I'm very excited to welcome to the stage, but of course with their completely epic and globally recognized scout leader, Mr. Bear Grylls. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together.
Come on up, guys. Come on up. Come and join. This is Grecia. And Kazi. First thing, Amber. Where are you? Where is she? Amber? Amazing lady. Yeah, you guys are lucky. And Alistair, what a team. What a team at Extreme. Yeah. You know, the truth is this whole environmental challenge gets solved by brilliant people like Amber and all the Extreme team and these guys and many other incredible organizations going the extra mile and putting themselves on the line and, you know, really caring, ultimately really caring. So huge respect to all you're doing. Keep going. I would say Youth Day at COP26, arguably the most important day of COP, because if any of us are here for any reason, it is ultimately because we're trying to protect the planet for young people, you know. So the number one day at COP is today, no doubt. For me, I think when I started out filming and adventuring and doing all the kind of my work stuff, I think the truth is I was maybe a little bit of a climate skeptic, actually. You know, I kind of figured the world's pretty resilient. You know, I kind of wondered, how much effect really humankind can have on this huge, powerful world. 15 years later, I've changed. I no longer ask those questions because I know the answer. I've seen it. You know, I've seen it over and over again in my life from all the extremes. And what I know is this. Actually, the world is hurting. And I would go so far as to say, environmentally, I believe the world, in many ways, is on her knees. I've seen it in the most unlikely, but in the most shocking ways. And how many times do we hear the extreme one-off weather phenomenon that's hit? Or the totally unseasonal flooding again, or the unprecedented wildfires that nobody was expecting. And the only thing that is predictable is unpredictability now. That is what is the unpredictability that's predictable. It's happening all the time. The polluted oceans that has broken my heart, often fast turning to swamps in what were previously spectacular places. Thousands upon thousands of remote, deserted islands covered in both plastic and rubbish. I've seen some islands where I've hardly been able to see the sand on it. It's literally 6 foot high as far as you can see. And you're hundreds and hundreds of miles from civilization. Habitats and wildernesses starving. And all of this has one result at the end, is that vulnerable communities suffer, and ultimately it also costs human lives. If you were to ask me now the question, what is the single biggest challenge to any of us as citizens of planet Earth? You know, what matters most? What unites us the most? I would say an answer, along with 57 million young scouts on our planet, the number one thing is protecting home, looking after the only home that we have, our precious earth. Today, all of us in humanity, all of us humankind, wherever we're from, whatever our background, whatever walk in life, whatever country, we're all faced with one hard, stark choice. We either deal and tackle with climate change now, or we leave it for another generation because it's too difficult, too expensive, too impossible. And that's where the scouting side of things comes in for me, with the word too impossible. Because during my 12 years as Chief Scout, which, by the way, has been truly the most empowering, enlightening, and beautiful years of my life, if I've learned one thing, it's that Scouts love to tackle the impossible. Time and time again, they never shy away from those tough tasks. But I've also learned that Scouts at heart, they care. They care about their future. You know, that's what Scouting is about, life skills, building relationships. And they care about the planet. It's all they talk to me about. Kids all over the world. What can we do? And the truth is, that's no different really to any young people. Any young people you speak to. They care about their futures and they care about the planet. And that's why we're here. Because those two things are intrinsically linked. And if we don't solve one, the other fails. As you guys know, we've just had now period, the hottest 20 years on record. The Greenland ice sheet is melting at unprecedented rates. Deforestation continues unchecked. Our oceans continue to be stripped and continue to be polluted. This 2 weeks here of global leaders, global influencers, and young people today have a chance to stop this and to get in and reverse this process and force key change. But I also want to be clear, I'm not here pointing any fingers. I really am not. You know, I am as guilty as anyone. Probably worse. But I also know that a global problem needs a global solution to it. Many people doing a little bit imperfectly is always going to be more powerful than a tiny minority living perfect lives. And that's why every one of us here can play our part. And it's why I'm so proud, especially of what you guys are doing and what Scouts are doing all across the world. They're standing up, they're taking a lead, and they're making a formal promise to the planet at COP26. And this promise to the planet is powerful. It's uniting those tens of millions of Scouts to use their voices, to use their actions to fight for our survival, to fight for our future, to fight for our planet. But, and here's the thing, we can't do it alone, however brilliant these guys are, or you guys are, or single people are there, or how much we try and do on our own as citizens. The truth is, it cannot solve the issue. You know, the best intents in the world, the best, all of us trying our best as citizens, we cannot solve the issue. We do need world leaders. We do need our leaders to lead it. We can't do this alone. We need the governments and countries to say, come on, we're going to invest and we're going to do this properly. To change their policies, to change the way we source our energy, to change the way we use our precious resources. When President Obama asked me to show him climate change close up, it was a privilege for me to be able to take him to some of the remote parts of Alaska and show him it, you know, up close, the receding glaciers and a bunch of the other stuff up there. But the truth is, I could have easily taken him to some of the rainforests in South America or the big tiger forests in Russia, you know, and showed him equally devastating stuff, you know, where we're losing 30 football pitches of rainforest a minute. I mean, I remember when it was an hour 10 years ago. I could have taken him to the deserts of Africa and shown him the reality of what climate change does for dying, starving animals with scarce resources and scarce water. You know, I've seen it, and wept. Because I know how much we have to lose. I said at the start, I thought our planet was resilient, and our planet is resilient, but to a point. And this COP26 really is that point. You know, we're at the backstop, we're in the reserve tank, we're at D-Day. You know, we have reached that point. Our planet now, somebody was asked me to describe it, I think I'd call it fragile. But I could line up 10,000 scientists who would stand in front of me and they go, no. Broken. And it's just true. You know, and yes, we should be hopeful because things are changing, but slowly. Yes, our countries are starting to make, you know, better choices, but not enough. We're beginning to understand that a sustainable future can also be a prosperous future, but the pace needs to quicken. From governments, but also from us, doing our bit. And it's young people like these guys and Gretchen, Carty and Scouts all over the world who really, I look at you guys, and I've said this to you before, but you really are, you're shining lights. You are true examples to me and inspirations to me, because you're making difficult but really positive choices in how you live your lives. And the Scouts have these 4 things that I love: reduce, recycle, recover, and rethink. And for someone with simple brains like me, I love that. It's a mantra, and I can use that in how I approach everything in life, you know, to reduce, recover, recycle, rethink. Reduce, maybe we switch to sourcing our food from local, sustainable sources rather than having to get things from the far side of the world. Recycle, you know, our clothes, our rubbish, but also so much more. You know, I've had Scouts come up to me today and tell me they've been recycling crazy things in so many cool ways, from transport stuff, and I love it. It's like a whirlwind. It's like, wow, of course, why didn't I think of that? To recover, maybe it's as simple as gardening, planting some veg, maybe it's planting some trees, maybe it's helping, as Scouts and young people do in local community areas, to tidy up parks and make those better. And then finally, to rethink. And maybe this is actually the biggest one for all of us, because we have to adapt. We have to start living differently. You know, what's the definition of madness? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. All of us, we have to change the way we do stuff. Maybe we have to change the way we travel and think about travel, or how we interact with the world. We've just got a new filter in, you know. But maybe most powerfully of all, we've got to keep sharing this message and encouraging this message. Our promises to the planet. You know, it's a state of mind. It's a determination to do the right thing, because when we work together and we help each other, miracles can happen. I love, though, that it's young people that are driving this. I love that it's a mission that transcends borders. You know, we've got 150 countries of Scouts united in this one purpose. There's a power to that. And that is what Promise the Planet is about. It's about helping, it's about protecting, and it's about saving lives, saving the planet. And Scouts, when they're kids, I see it, they stand up and they say their promise. It's been going on for 100 years. Promise to be kind and to be helpful. And that is ultimately what this is about. If you love something, you protect it. Be kind to the world. Help each other. I want to finish with a message just of hope. Because the truth is, I'm full of hope. I know there's a lot of frustration, and there's a lot of, you know, angst, and there's a lot of anxiety, and there's a lot of fear. But hope must always win through, because I've seen what happens when young people get together. It's powerful. And for me, if the Scouts symbolize one thing, it is this: hope. A global force for good. Never underestimate the power of what you guys have. You might not feel very powerful as a young person on your own, but you're not on your own. Hope says two things. Hope says we can do this, and hope says we must do this. Thank you. I promised we'd take some questions from you guys, or I know you've got some online questions coming in as well. We've got these guys here. I'm heading on in about 15 minutes to another event that I promised I'd get to. These guys then are going to stay and take even more questions. But whilst we're all here together, or anything for me, I am all yours. So if anyone's got any burning questions, I'll try and answer them. And you can put up a hand or whatever you want to say. Yeah, go for it.
There was a point in your speech that when you were speaking where you were saying, I'm not pointing any fingers here, but I'm as much to blame as anyone, if not more. So my question is basically, what do you mean, if not more? Like, why would you feel that you're more to blame?
I feel I'm more to blame because I travel a huge amount. We have a huge carbon footprint as a team. You know, we have had historically a huge carbon footprint. You know, I'm not going to, you know, I'm nobody to preach. I'm the broken sort of poacher turned gamekeeper, whatever that, you know, was it? You know, but I think the thing is we've got to listen. We've got to adapt. We've all got to change. You know, the Scouts thing is do your best. Do your best is a beautiful and powerful phrase. And we're all flawed and we can all do better. And I suppose my point was I could do a lot better, you know, and we've got to keep adapting and changing. And I love the fact when we go, hold on, look, we're now working as we are with the World Land Trust to make sure all of our carbon is offset as we travel. And that was such a genius thing. And now we can plant trees and we can do that. You know, I love the fact that we live off grid for part of the year and we're, you know, have a place that's driven by wind and solar. I love that. I love teaching our kids about, you know, recovering, reducing, recycling, rethinking. I love that. You know, I love the fact we try and find low-use source. But the truth is it's a drop in the ocean for all of us. But I think it's this thing of many people living imperfect attempts is better than a few kind of too self-righteous stuff. And I think, you know, I think sometimes the eco stuff gets a bad rap because of that. And I think the more we just open it up and go, we are all in this together. Whoever you are, whatever your background, your country, your creed, your colour, you know, we're all in it together. We've all got to do our best, you know, and we're all flawed and our journeys progress at different times. And I'm not going to throw a stone at somebody who's, you know, only just started planting something in their garden to do nothing else, because it's a journey. You begin because I was there once, you know, and we all grow and we grow at different times, but it's the intent and the heart and the will to do it. And when everybody has that intent and heart and will, that's how things happen. So I say that because I know I have much room for improvement still, you know, I really do. I mean, you can, you know, I just do. But we're in it together, we're doing our best, and we'll get there. And it starts with trying, you know, trying. Yeah.
It's wonderful, the scope of the Scouts. Brilliant. I don't know a huge amount. Baden-Powell, I know, was the originator. But I just wonder whether, like Greta Thunberg, whether you have access to the powers that be, you know, those that wield the money, and to have your voice heard. Do you have actual personal face-to-face with some of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been lucky in the sense that I have had the chance to do that. I mean, we also got to take Prime Minister Modi of India on one of our adventures, and you know, my motivation for doing any world leader I've ever taken has always been driven by climate change. You know, that's the agenda. I will only do it with that agenda, and I want to hear their vision. And You know, you can't control the rhetoric of politics. You can't control if they tell you truths or untruths. You know, but you can do your best. It's do your best again. You know, and people go, oh, India, they said net zero by 2070. Oh, it could have been 2030 or 2050. You know what? Thank God it's good. It's good. It's a step. It's, you know, it's the biggest country on earth, I think, now. You know, it's going in the right direction. Yes, if I had him in an arm lock, I might like a little bit more, you know, but I don't have, none of us have these people in an arm lock. But collectively, we have a voice, you know, but our voice is only powerful when it's kind and when it's united. Yeah, kind and united, those are the things, you know, then people listen. But I think so much of it as well is about confidence, not just for us in the vision, but also for leaders to know that actually young people are behind me. If I make some bold choices for my country and reducing fossil fuels and investing in renewables, if I make some bold decisions about protecting our oceans or forests, people won't think I'm mad. I mean, 15 years ago, everyone did think it was a bit crazy, and I was part of that. You know, everyone was debating, oh, is it happening or is it not happening? No, I've been here, I've listened a lot. Not one person is debating if climate change is happening. I go all around the world, nobody debates that any longer. Now it's like, okay, yeah, we're seeing some pretty unusual phenomena and things are happening, what can we do? You know, so it's progress and we must all use our voice, but with kindness and unity.
Hello, Paulina from Mexico. I have a personal question, if it's okay for you. I'm really interested because you said that before you were like a denier, right? What was the moment that really, you know, changed that perspective inside you? What happened? What was it?
I think it was just a continual drip, drip, drop, drop, bigger drop, bucket, waterfall of information, you know, on me all the time. I was seeing it everywhere. I was looking, I think, wow, you know. And I think initially it was just the amount of plastic and rubbish in the most remote places, you know, but then it's just a torrent of information all the time and everywhere. I mean, I hosted a show last year called Hostile Planet for National Geographic that was showing how hostile the planet could be, but really about the effect of climate change on wildlife. And it was absolute. I don't know if any of you saw Hostile Planet, but it was truly shocking. Truly, I mean, you cannot watch that program and not cry. I mean, it was pretty hardcore about the realities of families of animals fighting for survival. When you see family, you see the mother, you know, whatever it is, fight. I mean, it was heartbreaking. But it was just showing what it's like. You know, there's always the vulnerable that suffer, isn't it? You know, animals are the innocent parties in this. But the humans that are suffering around the world now because of climate change are the innocent humans. You know, that's the reality, isn't it? The people who have caused the least amount of climate change are the ones that suffer the most. You know, and I think this is why climate change hits us collectively as Scouts so much. It's been ingrained in us from the beginning. Kind and helpful. Just as you live your life, and the little things, kind and helpful. And when you see it hurting people like that, innocent people, well then, you know, all of that's I think that's where it comes from. Yeah. Here we go. We got time for one more, so yeah.
We've got a question here from Nigeria. We've got someone from the online audience. Thank you for putting in a question. Do you have any advice for communities who can maybe legally challenge the mismanagement of their local environments? Have you had any experience working with governments or local policymakers?
Gracia? This girl is well clued up on this sort of stuff.
Okay, I think what I would think is that communities need to be really like well organized, and they mostly are, because local communities, when you think on them, it's like they are mostly indigenous groups, or like in Mexico, we have this called ejidos, which is like a legal way to call a property of the land, and then they manage to organize themselves. But it's hard, because it's, imagine all of us here taking a decision together towards our lands. So I think it's a matter of putting one common and single like proposal or issue at the center of everything that we do, and they do, so they can really like put it forward, and seeing everyone as a team, like at the end, the efforts, as you were saying, at the end of the efforts of all, like every member of that community will lead them to protect the forest or the environment where they are living, right? Because this is, I think, mostly what happens at a local level. Yeah.
Guys, I've got to dive off now, but I just want to say it's been such a pleasure to be with you all. I've been so excited to come and see what has been happening down here. You're a powerhouse and a force for good as well. Kazi and Gracia, I want to just thank you so much for joining me today, being such stars. Please ask these guys, truly, they are such a wealth of inspiration, but also amazing knowledge about so much of this, not just in their home countries, but all around the world. So do bleed them for their expertise and keep going in your mission. I think you're amazing.
Hello. Yeah. Well, thank you very much to Bear for that amazing and really inspiring speech. So right now we will continue with a panel, a discussion with these two amazing young leaders. We have Grecia Barcena Calderon from Mexico. She's youth advocate, nature defender, and co-founder of Global Youth Biodiversity Network. Yeah, come on. And we have Kasi Subair Hussein. Help me. He's a youth representative of the World Organization of the Scout Movement. So a round of applause for him too. Great, thanks. So my name is Isabella, and I will be moderating this amazing panel with these two amazing young leaders. So thanks. Yeah. So let's start, guys, with the first question. About the youth-led global campaign, Promise to the Planet has united 57 million scouts from around the world to take action and use their voices in the fight against climate change or climate crisis. What project have each of you have been personally involved in the tackle to climate crisis? So I don't know if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I can start with that question. In my personal life, there are several projects that, maybe I have not introduced from where I have come. I come from Bangladesh, one of the South Asian countries. And to add with that, you must have heard that there was a UN IPCC report last month, and they were saying that if proper actions are not taken, then the temperature rise will be around 2.7 degrees Celsius. So I am from a country which will be vanished if proper actions are not taken in coming 2 or 3 decades. So there's a little information from my country. And I work with Bangladesh Scouts, which is one of the national scout organizations of World Scouts. Like World Scouts is a collection of national scout organizations, and it has 172 countries. And Bangladesh Scouts is one of the national scout organizations which is member of World Scouts. So I work with Bangladesh Scouts, and Bangladesh Scouts has so many amazing community development projects around the country happening. So I can tell you about my personal projects, and I can also tell you about there is one of the projects which recently got international media attentions from different medias. So if I'm going to talking about my personal project, there are so many projects I have been involved with, but the one which I liked very much, that was when I was studying in University of Dhaka, which is in the capital of Bangladesh. We had a campaign of doing planting trees in the university campus. So every year, it is still happening. This is an ongoing process, like for last 30 or 40 years, we have been doing this. And after I was in charge of that group, the Dhaka University Rover Scout group, and after I left that position, it is still continued by the juniors of my universities. So this is something very special for me. Like every year we plant around 100 trees in our campus. And 100 might be sound like a small amount to you, but for a small campus, it is a huge number. And yeah, yeah. It's a lot. If we plant one tree, that's a lot. We are taking actions, right? So 100 trees we plant every year, and the most important part is that in my country, people like to plant trees but don't take care of them. So if you plant 100 trees, then in the next year at the same time, maybe there will be 10 plants left. This is something we took care of, and every year after planting 100 trees, we follow the trees all the year around so that they survive, so that the rate of success, what we call the rate of success, is higher for us. So this is one of the projects, and there is another project happening in one of the remote islands of Bangladesh that Bangladesh Scouts has taken initiative to build a school there for the young children who are not privileged enough to go to school. And that school has been running for almost 10 years. And like whoever is involved with Bangladesh Scouts has played some small or bigger part in that project. So these are the two projects it came into my mind after the question. Thank you.
Great. That's so amazing. So amazing. What about you, Grecia? What do you want to tell us?
Thank you. I think I will talk about also one local project and one national project. At a local project, in the northern part of Mexico, we have a place called Sierra Tarahumara, which is in the very north part, and these mountains are mostly rocks and some pines. So we have a local community, actually it's an indigenous community called Tarahumara, which they basically, were born there, they live like in caves, like they have been their whole lives there. And there is not a lot of water in the region because it's a very dry region. It's the northern part of Mexico, so it's very cold, like very extreme weather, cold or hot. And what we did was basically help to do some agroecology techniques with the indigenous people, because they really have to take care of the soil. So every drop of water is going into the crops they are eating. So what they do, it's a very traditional strategy with the plants, which is called milpa. And what they do, it's like they basically put beans, maize, which is corn, and calabaza. Pumpkin, thank you, and pumpkin. And this kind of a mixture makes that the plants protect each other, and it protects the soil, because at the end one provides some nutrients that the other one need, and then it protects from some other possible like animals. So it's like a small ecosystem protecting each other. So we were basically learning from them and helping them to grow this agroecology technique that indigenous people have had always. So it was very interesting, mostly to learn. To be honest, at the end, we were just there helping, but we were learning a lot from there. And we spent a week doing that. It's hard to work the land, so we should be very grateful of what the food we have access into the supermarket and just grab it from one place, because they have to take months to grow whatever we eat, right? And the other project is at an international level, and it's actually done by the Croatian Scouts. It's called Painting Back. And they are suffering a lot from wildfires every summer. So basically, most of the forests in Croatia are like burned. And what they were trying to do is like raise money through selling some crayons in one of the most famous newspapers in the town. And they sold these crayons. They fund, and they ask people to literally draw one tree and put it up and upload it into the internet. At the end, each of those painted trees were planted onto the ground. And it was not a monoculture, a reforestation, because this is something important that we need to focus on when we do reforestation. We cannot save the forest planting the same plant everywhere. Forest has level, stratus, and we must take care of that diversity and different levels of the forest, so the forest can be really resilient. So they did that, and they built a whole new forest. It's been thousands of volunteer hours, and I think the message here is it's really good that we do reforestation, but we really need to be aware of the diversity that the forests need to have. It's not only putting the trees on the ground, right? Okay.
Whoa, that's amazing. Come on, go ahead. for these two guys who are literally saving the planet. And I think that it's the summary of your interventions, guys. So for each of you, we want to know what drove you to become first of all a scout, and what really embraced this nature-focused agenda mainly in your life. I mean, you are doing this all day and thinking about it and trying to look for some solutions. So what is the moment when you realize that this must be your life?
Thank you for the question. Excellent question. Maybe what I'm going to say might be relevant from my point of view with someone of you. And when I joined scouting, I was in class, I don't know what is the system they call it here. I was in class 3. It's standard 3, and like we live in an urban area, so there is not much tree and there is no forest around. So there was no chance for me like what is forest to go there and experience it. So if we are talking about scouting, a common picture which comes into our mind, that is scouting going to the camping. We go to camping. Yeah. So literally I learned about nature more when after getting into the scouting, I had a chance to go to the camp in a forest of a different district. So before that I never saw how a forest looks like. And when I went there and spent 5 days in the forest, in the nature, and with my leaders, so there was something that grew inside me in that 5 days, like a respect for the nature, empathy for the nature. And this thing started from class 3 and it still continues. So this is the small story from my side.
Amazing.
Nice. I think, well, I first have a question for people here. Like, who of you got to know nature with someone from your family? Okay, okay. Can someone tell me who was this person of your family? Uncle. Okay, who else? Okay, so normally what I want to raise here is like, family is the one who is taking us out to the woods to really enjoy it. So for me, it was my grandma. We liked to go to the park every week. And one weekend, my parents left me with her, and we had a lot of time to go to the park. So I saw these little kids playing, and I wanted to play. So this is how I found Scouts. But the reason why really this desperate and deep passion grew in me towards nature, it's because, I don't know why, but when we go out and spend 5 days a weekend, you really come back to your home feeling like relief, like home, like nothing is pressuring you. And then I start to really start feeling connected to it. But when it really clicked to my mind, it was when I saw people like really having a hard time making their lives living in nature. And I thought, am I the one who is doing bad because I live in the city, in my super secure home, in my bed? Or is there something wrong going on here? Because this is their house and I take stuff from their house so I can survive in my city. So it was like a shocking thing that I had to face. And now I'm trying to work in everything, personal projects, professional projects, through scouting, to really trying to close this gap and be more aware on how we people in cities live and be more conscious on what they do and live for. So,
thanks. Thank you very much, both of you. So, sorry, we can take applauses in every question or answer, but let's keep after that. Well, you two are engaged with climate action and the solution of climate crisis. But in reality, you are part of minority in this society, right? Because young leaders in your respective countries that are driving this work are not too much. I can imagine that. So can you tell us about the challenges or even threats that you may have faced in this way to be a climate leader?
I would just say that there are so much challenges we face in any of the countries in Global South. I don't know. Maybe our friend from Global North can say what kind of challenges they face. But in Global South, there are so many challenges like social challenges, political challenges, and there are many other dimensions of challenges. So from my point of view, what type of works I do in my country. So the first challenge is that there are people who don't want to recognize there is climate change. There are people, they are still taking time to recognize that something is happening. But in recent time, I think they have got the results, like temperature is rising, and the duration of winter was like 4 months in our country, and it just shrinking, and it's now only 1 month of winter, and the rest of the years there is heavy rain, and there is also summer. So one of the challenges is empowering other people who don't want to care about the nature. So you'll have to really push them and be behind them, pursue them to believe it that climate change is really happening. And there is another challenge I didn't face in my organization because Bangladesh Scouts is financed by the government. But there is challenges about the financial issues, like grassroots level organizations face financial issues. If they get the financial flow in a good way, then they will be able to do more activity. So that is also a challenge. And political goodwill is a challenge that we all know about. So yeah, these are the challenges I see we face in our daily life while we are working with environment, especially with climate change. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I will focus only on one, and it's something I have learned in Scouts. It's like we want to take part of the decision-making process, right? Like we are here to raise our voice, to try to influence the negotiations, but nobody teach you how to do that. Like seriously, it's like, yeah, you arrive to the COP, to the party, and it's like, and then what? Like, what's the process? What are the steps? To who do I call? How do I do it? So to be honest, it's like, I think one of the most challenged, it's to learn how to influence the decision-making processes. And I think it's important to start to being able to make decisions your own. Every day we have to take decisions, right? Like what to wear, what to eat. But when we move to things more like broad or more like important, it's like how you manage to have a conversation so we can take a collective decisions, how you manage to be influencing your peers, how you manage to review together with your partners whatever you're worried about so you can get a common voice. And I think when we are in scouting, this is a very important thing they teach us. Since we are 7 years old, you need to take decisions. Either, of course, it's on what you want to play that weekend or where you want to go camping, but later taking decisions on how you want to drive your organization at local level or which kind of programs or topics you want to learn. So I think a challenge is to develop this capacity or the means to do capacity building so people can take decisions towards things that they really matter, which right now it's the whole environmental crisis. It's not only climate change.
Thanks. I really feel you because when you go to COP, you are like, know what? What we should do right now? Yeah, it's really crazy. So in this topic, in fact, that is our focus, our next question, because young people are driving force of climate movements around the world, but here at COP26, there has been widespread frustration about the lack of access and attention paid to the concerns of younger people. So what is your take on this, and what do you world leaders need to do now to be inclusive of the generation which will be bearing the brand of climate change? So what we need to do and how we can afford this?
What we are already doing, pushing the world leaders and governments, this is the best thing we can do. We cannot stop doing that because they want us to stop doing that. And for talking about COP26, we have seen what happened in the first few days. Like young people as observers had no access to the negotiations room. Say, to this day, Youth Day. So COP26 presidency decided that there will be a day focused on youth. But it's very sad to say that this is something like a token, this is a token thing. Whether they actually want us to be empowered or not, it has been proved in the first few days by not letting us go to the negotiations room as observers. So the best we can do is never give up what we are doing and push more for our rights, be vocal and be bold. That's it.
Thanks.
I think I'll go to a more basic human feature, which is learning to listen. And learning to listen, it's an attitude. It's also being aware of yourself, so you are able to listen the other and not thinking on how you will react. It's just like going through. And I have had both experience, like the one that nobody wants to listen, like you don't care, and the other one I have had a really good experiences talking to negotiators. We are actually part of the working group on ACE, which is Action for Climate Empowerment, and we have been meeting with some delegates to raise our voice towards what we want in this new implementation plan and what the youth want to see, right? So I think it's in both sides, and maybe now I'm going to talk on what we need to do in order to be able to be listened, because we never talk about this side. And I think when we are in these kind of events and these venues and we are able to talk to negotiators, we must be prepared. We must do our homework, read the documents, read the agenda items, get ready to read the draft texts. You must prepare yourself and show them that you are able to understand what they are doing. Because at the end, that's their job. And they have to go on and present the report back in their countries. So you must put yourself at the same level as them and really show you're capable and that you're able to provide inputs that not only includes the inclusion of youth. It's important, but more deeper inputs into the documents, focus on the letters. So we really need to prepare ourselves, even from starting to learn the wordings and the language it's used in the negotiation documents to, sorry? Jargons. The jargons, yeah, to really being able to approach these negotiators as a human. At the end, yes, they have this demand, how do you say, they have this mission from their country, but it's more they are humans as you. They eat, they have fun, they have huge responsibilities. So I think it's a matter of being serious and, hey, I would like to speak to you. I'm also Mexican, and I have these points. And I'm pretty sure if you do your homework, it's going to be hard that they say no, because at the end they will have the thing in front of their face, right? So I think it's in both ways, not only them, it's also us.
Thanks. So we have homework to do in our lives. So guys, go to the final question of this panel, and then we can go to the Q&A part of this session. Experiencing the natural world is becoming increasingly less common. The world is becoming more urban. In fact, more than 50% of the population is living in cities today. So we are increasingly doing our work online. How we can better reconnect humanity with nature, and what daily practices can those disconnected with nature engage with, and how you can see this in your experience and in your work.
Can you repeat that again?
Let me say something on that.
Yeah.
Then I hope she will understand what you asked. So they are speaking in Spanish. I don't know.
Yeah. How the question is how we can reconnect.
I have got it.
Ah, okay.
This is something I have been saying for last 3 days in several sessions. What we do in scouting to connecting young people to nature. We use methods learning by doing, which is also known as experiential education. Nature is something, it's practical. It cannot be something theoretical. You learn only in the classroom. So what we do in our scouting, we have activities, we have programs which connects young people to nature so that they can learn from nature, about nature from itself. So there are so many programs we are running. There are some of the programs are Tribe. It has been developed with partnership with WWF and UNEP. So these programs actually empowers young people to explore what are the climate issues, not only climate issues, it can be environmental issues, it can be social issues. It empowers young people to explore those things in their communities and take actions to address those things. And it also empowers young people to empower other young people whom we cannot reach. And non-formal education has got a very good role in reaching people who are not in a formal setup. There are not all the young people are in the schools, universities or colleges. So scouting works at the community level and they can reach the people, young people. They are not in the formal setup. So they can also be environment literate or climate literate. And one of the questions that arises from here, how young people can be inspired to take action. So there are several reasons I can tell you, but one reason which I have experienced or I have experiencing now as a young people, that my place where I live, it is not going to exist by the end of the century. So as a young person, what I can do? I should do my best to stop that. I cannot let my home go under the sea. So this is the thing I am experiencing, the threat of losing my place. And there's the thing that's driving me to take climate actions, to empower other young people so that in their community, in my community, other people can also take climate actions, because this is not something individual. All the individual actions will sum up to the collective actions, then there will be more impact in our societies. So that's it.
Thanks.
I think this is a hard one, to be honest. Feel yourself. Really, I know it sounds super weird, but really feel yourself. How is your stomach feeling right now? Are you feeling the way you breathe? How are you feeling this part of your hands? Like, really feel yourself. Be aware of your body. Be aware of what you eat. Really take a moment during the day to stop your mind and really just be conscious of what are you. Because at the end, you are also, it's going to sound weird, but an animal. You're an element from the whole web of life. So a way to reconnect with nature is to start reconnecting with yourself. If you're not able to name what you feel, where you feel it, how much your heartbeat, like seriously, like we are nature, and in order to reconnect with nature, we need to be more connected to ourselves, less to cell phones, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever social platform life we also have. So shut up a bit, listen to yourself, and relax. And this is the only way, in my experience, you're gonna be able to start looking at nature in a different way, because you will give yourself the chance to look at it with a very different perspective, with a different time frame or sense of the time, and then you will be able to start looking at her on how she really is doing her own systems and growing and trying to really see her in a very different way. Yes. Yeah.
Whoa, that's really good answer, guys. Well, in my way back to COP26 venue, I will stop and take a breath and reconnect with myself. Your words take me really well. This have been an amazing conversation. Thank you very much for all your comments and thoughts and reflections. I think it's really necessary. So we can go to the question from the audience online or maybe in the room.
We're going to start with a question from online. So we've got a question, a more technical question for you, Gracia. You made an important point about the diversity of forests. Can you tell us a bit more about what types of trees we should be planting more of in our country, Mexico?
Oh, wow, okay. Cool. Thank you to the Mexican person who asked that. We have a lot of, we are one of the 10 most biodiverse, like country in the world, so it depends where you're located. Most of our forests in Mexico are pine forests, but between the pines, there are also other type of trees that are called alamos, which I don't know what are the exact translation for that. But I think if you really want to know which type of plants and trees are better to plant, you should go to your local biodiversity strategy. I'm not kidding, like this is true. Local biodiversity strategy. And there is also a national biodiversity strategy plan that every country must do. It's similar to the national determined contributions that we do here at the Climate Convention, but in the Biodiversity Convention, we focus more on national biodiversity strategies. And in this local strategy, there is a list of the, how you call, like, thank you. Exactly. Thank you. I have a good support here, like a species palette, or maybe more like nomad species. Like that should be there. It's not nomad. It's like native. Thank you. Native species. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Saludos a Mexico in the audience. And someone here, our most active participant today.
So yeah, thank you for absolutely everything you said. Grecia, thank you for helping all of us ground ourselves, really. And I get so excited because I also plant trees, so I'm just curious if there is like a program, either nationally or internationally, or any commitments from the Scouts community on planting trees. Especially, I'm curious because you know that the UN Decade on ecosystem restoration started, and forest ecosystems are like so important also right now, and you know, focusing on also trying to make the forestation projects that you mentioned in context of this, you know, it's amazing. So I'm just curious if Scouts are doing anything or if you have anything planned like that. Yeah, thanks.
So there is so many things happens in our movement regarding reforestation or planting trees. The program which I mentioned earlier, that tribe program, there is several sections there. There is also a program called Scouts of the World program, like the Scouts who work for the world, Mother Earth. So these are the programs which encourages young people to take community level action, so that they can improve their community. Under that programs, there are so many projects ongoing in different countries, which focuses on reforestation, focuses on planting more trees. So there is nothing globally coordinated, rather than these are decentralized across the 172 National Scout organizations. And I can reassure you from sitting here that all the 172 National Scout organizations, member of the World Scouting organizations, every year they do something on planting trees, reforestation, and these things. Like for my country, in Bangladesh Scouts planted 1 million trees in 2 months, like the 2 months when the best months for planting trees in rainy season. So we have 2.1 million members in our country, and we planted 1 million trees in 2 months. Sounds like crazy. Sounds like crazy, but if we think differently, 21 million, 2.1 million, like 21 lakhs, what we call in our country, we don't use million and billion, we use lakhs and crores. So 21 lakhs young people should have planted 21 lakh plants. So we are still a little bit behind. I hope in this year or in coming year, this year is not possible because winter has already arrived in my country. So I hope in next year or coming years we'll be able to catch up the speed, and we will be able to plant maybe 5 million trees. I hope, and I believe we can, because if young people cannot do, then who can do? That's it. Thank you.
do we have time for another question?
One final question, actually. It's a perfect close. We've got someone from Pakistan who asks, what final piece of advice would you give to young leaders who are working to mobilize their own communities to drive forward climate action?
You can take this one. First of all, draft a project. What is not written does not exist. And it's very important that whatever project we're doing, action mobilization, has a rationale, like has objectives, like, and also has like ways to measure the impact, right? Because if we don't write it down, will be complicated to pass it on and maybe talk about it. Secondly, I would say look for a team that will support you. We cannot do anything alone, especially when we want to mobilize the community. And thirdly, you gotta have very clear messages on what or how you want to mobilize this community. Because we have all different levels of understanding of the environment, and we have different things, but as simple as we can put it, as the Promise to the Planet campaign, like recycling, reduce, rethink, it's gonna be easier for people to understand and join the cause. And fourth, people need to be and feel connected to whatever cause they are mobilized for. Otherwise, they will not like do anything. If we don't feel attached or feel like we belong to this cause, we will never move. So I think that would be my advice.
Thanks.
I have one last thing to say. That is, all the people who are present here, you are already empowered. You know about the environment, climate change things, and please go to your community and never stop empowering other people, whether this is young people or older people. So this is the ending word from my side. Thank you.
Well, it has been an amazing conversation. I'm really glad to be here with you and listen your reflection on the topic. I hope you have so many more years of hard work and good results. And as you say, Gracia, you need a good idea and a great couple of friends to do that. So let's keep moving. We can save the planet, I think so. So that is what is have to us here. So thank you very much to the audience, to the public in here or connected in some platform. So thank you guys.